I need your brain to work tomorrow.
Oh, she's resting it.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I have to teach.
Huh?
And I gotta,
Yeah, 8. Yeah, over in ceramics and sculpt. I'll send that out.
if we teach, do you want us to send you our schedules?
Please. Oh, please. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my God, totally forgot about that. Thank you. I know. Serious.
Welcome. And you can have a seat right there. Wow. Candy? Yes, you can have whatever you want. So, thank you for coming. I'm just going to need a little bit of time. I just wanted to know if I'd be able to ask you a question. Yeah? Okay. So, I want to know if you can picture like a time. So, I want you to take me back in time with you and tell me one of your best, like your most favorite memories that you have with somebody or by yourself. That makes you just feel really good. Can you tell me like that story? You think of something and then tell me a story about what that is.
Yeah, I have several of them.
Okay.
But one of the thing I remember when I got admission there, like from my country, got admission here is so tough. So
Yeah.
it was a great news for me. Like I was thinking, okay, I am in the dream or I am in the real world.
Right. Yeah. No, that's exciting. So what? Like when did you find out and everything? Like how did it happen?
Like first time my paper was like late to come here. I came here then and I got admission like in the last day. It was August 1st. So I was so like in August 30 I was crying. Okay, I was.
Oh my gosh! No.
Okay, how can I get the admission? It was only on day. And then I called one of my friends and he, okay, you have only one day. Wait, I know you got it. So it was so, like it was the only one day left. And then I got admission in August 1st.
Oh gosh, that would be so nerve-wracking. I'd be like,
One day left.
so that's like probably one of the like just so excited, right? Like
Yeah,
that
and then
feeling.
I didn't have language, so I was like worried if I don't get admission here, I will not get admission anyhow.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I don't have that much money too. So it was like
Right.
it was a breaking point for me, but
Yeah.
it was good.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Well, thank you. That's all I wanted to ask you. You can feel free to grab whatever you want. We're going to take it back to the circle.
For the bombs up! You do like,
You're going to hell!
thank you! Look at
Yes!
this! Like there's just like a whole bunch of people around going.
Okay, they're never out when I go get my coffees.
Maybe you're not going to hell.
I guess I'm not going to help them.
I've never seen them here. I've seen them at UGA.
Come to my studio with me for a short period of time.
How did they come to my studio? Oh, sure. They have one at UGA at the football games that was like protesting.
How's it going today?
Football players.
Good, yeah.
As like icons. That
I know, it's been. You can take a seat right here in this green chair.
All right. Oh, I was wondering what smelled so good.
Oh!
It's in here.
It's me! Alrighty. Well, thank you for coming with me for this short period of time. I wanted to know if I could ask you to tell me a story. Would you be okay with telling me a story?
Am I okay with telling you a story?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so I just want to know, I want you to set the scene and take me back in time with you and tell me one of your best or most favorite memories that you have, either by yourself or with somebody, but can you take me back to that moment with you?
And what was the last sentence?
Oh, if you could just take me back to that moment with you.
Okay.
That, like, give me those feelings that you were feeling, those good feelings.
All right. Let me think of one.
Yeah.
Okay. This was probably 30 plus years ago. My sister and I worked together, and it's my sister that I'm closest to. We're best friends too. And we worked at the same place. Sometimes we drove to work together, and She was married. I'm not married. I never have been married. And so we had a lot of fun during that time. She and her husband had bought a nice house, and we enjoyed our jobs. We enjoyed being together for sure, and we would be able to laugh and talk. And so one day she had, it was just me and her, and we were talking. She said, "I have something to tell you," and she said, I was like, I had no clue
Right.
what she was gonna say.
You're like, what is coming?
And she said, "I'm pregnant."
Oh.
And I mean, I've got chill bumps right
Yeah.
now, and you know, my throat's kind of like constricting, you know, because I mean, when she told me, I was just so happy. And that Rhiannon was my first niece, first everything on our side, and I was too when I was born. So it was just so super special, and so she and I, she was pregnant while we were still working together, and we would go by, and of course she's getting the morning sickness and stuff like that. And there was one thing she had to have, she could drink, she could have, and it was this cherry drink. We would stop at the convenience store, and we would go in, and she would get her drink, or I would get her a drink, and we just laughed because we called it the very, very cherry drink.
The carrots like strawberry shortcake, that's what everything you think of.
Very, very cherry drink.
Yeah.
And we still talk about the very, very cherry drink, and that was just all around her pregnancy, and just how wonderful that was, and just, and I would cry. You just cry from joy. And ever since that moment, and still I cry about my nieces with joy, and I have tears, you know, now it's just so joyful. And I had Rhiannon to myself, and we did everything. We were buddies, and she was my first and only for 5 years until her sister came along. And I was wondering, when Julie told me she was pregnant with Rachel, she had a box of Kleenexes ready. And I wondered, how am I going to love someone as much as I love Rhiannon? But Rachel came along, and it was just like, there's plenty of love to go around, and I loved her just as much. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That makes me think of my family. I have a big family, and I'm close to all of my sisters, and we're just in the mid-20s now, like the oldest ones. So when everyone starts having kids, I'm gonna be the same way, because I cry with every emotion, when I'm happy, when I'm sad, everything. But yeah, thank you so much. Oh, that made me feel so good. All right, thanks, Jackie. Feel free to grab whatever you would like, if you want anything.
All right.
Bye. Look at your feeling. Yeah. Are you cheating?
Fooling everybody.
Take a seat right there. You're gonna eat out, look at you. Hi, honey. Hi, honey. How you doing? Good, how are you? Good. I know you've had a stressful week.
Oh, God.
All I want is it okay if I ask you one question?
Sure.
I just want to know if you can take me back to a moment in time, to one of your best memories, to one of like your most fond moments. It can be with people, it can be a by yourself memory, but if you want to take a little time, you can think about it, or if you have one right now on top of your head, I'd love to know.
probably have to be Christmas morning at my grandparents' house, because their house was always the stable place. And everybody always went to their house, and it was always the same routine. It was like everybody lined up on the stairs by age.
Yeah.
And Granddaddy would always walk into the living room and say, "Oh, Santa didn't leave anything." Like, you know, it's always
Yeah.
the same. Yeah, we're like, "Oh no," you know. Because he'd go in and light a fire, even if it was, I mean, it was here in Statesboro, so even when it was too hot for a fire, he would light a fire, and then we would all go in together. So it was, yeah. That was
Yeah. No, I love those moments. I mean, I can totally feel like I'm thinking of my own, obviously, story, but Christmas morning is a big one for me too. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
Well,
And things remain the same.
yeah. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Do you want any chocolate or anything before you go back out? All right.
I mean, the thing won't even move, is that, yours is doing that too?
Yeah, so what was happening is the thread was getting pulled down, and I cut it all away and tried to clean it out, and then
It seems like we would have like a warranty thing for that.
Sorry to interrupt you.
We can specify it.
You know, I mean, it seems like there'd be a warranty.
Right when you're in
I
mid-conversation.
know, how dare you.
I might fix it.
This stuff can you shoot?
Yeah.
I fix that other one.
It sounds like it's just the.
I'll tell you about it later. Yeah, destroyed. You can sit in the green chair.
Oh, it smells like me in here.
Yes. I love it. Okay. Would you mind answering one question for me? That's it.
Okay.
So I want you to take me back in time to a moment that where you just felt the happiest or the best or a lovely emotion that you felt. And I want you to just kind of take me through it, take me to what you were feeling, kind of set the tone, and yeah, if you can think of one. I mean, you've got a lot recently.
Yeah.
And so this one might be easy for you.
About my engagement.
I would love to hear about that.
Closest thing.
Sure.
I knew.
You did?
I'm gonna tell you about how I knew I was gonna get engaged.
Okay.
I was looking for something in Alex's bag. Alex brought my mom's birthday presents, and that's what I was looking for as one of those presents. And I looked in his suitcase, and as I was rummaging, I found his jewelry box. And he always like brings whatever jewelry he's gonna wear on a trip in the same black velvet jewelry box, always. And then I went to look in his backpack to move it, and in the front pouch of his backpack was a square box. And I was like, okay. Don't open the pouch, don't open the pouch, don't open the pouch. And so I opened the pouch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you open the pouch?
And I pulled the box out, and there's a brand that I wanted it from. It's actually a jeweler. Her name is Alexis Russell. She's an independent jeweler, and she does conflict-free diamonds, which is why it looks like this.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was important to me that Alex supported an independent artist.
Right.
And so he did. And I recognized her logo on the box, and I was like, okay.
Jess. Did you end up telling him?
He does not know.
Oh! Okay, well, I will never say anything about it.
And hardly anybody knows that.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you
And I
for sharing
sat
it.
there on the bed. I'm hyperventilated for like 5 minutes. I was only supposed to be looking for something. I was like, oh my god, if Alex comes in here looking for me, I'm gonna look like an idiot. Oh my god, he's gonna know. But then I got really high. And then I blamed my smiling on being stoned. There's your story.
Thank you. That is so crazy. Oh my god. Are you ever gonna tell him, or are you just gonna write it out?
I like to keep certain secrets to myself.
I appreciate that. You want any chocolate or anything?
I know where they are, and I don't want to be angry. So I'm just going to pretend I don't know that they're there,
I remember you showed me and Steven where
because he's so proud.
Second conversation.
I really was about to be like, no.
Two people were talking. That's so funny.
Where are those coming
What were
from?
you talking about?
We were talking about the mess.
Well, you have a seat in the green chair.
Thank you.
Okay. So all I want to know is if you will tell me a little story.
Does it matter what kind of story?
I'll give you a little question right now. So I just want you to take me back in time to one of your like best or happiest moments that you have. It could be with other people. It could be like a self moment, but I just want you to like set the tone for me and like give me the deets basically and tell me about it.
Oh. I'm trying to remember, that's really depressing. I'm trying to think.
No, it's okay. I was thinking about like this when I saw it yesterday and I was like, what would it be?
I think like a really happy memory that I don't remember a lot of my childhood, but I think the happiest one is, I want to say it was my 9th or 10th birthday. Back when my family had like a little bit more money, we went to the Atlanta Aquarium for my birthday, and then I remember waking up. We stayed at, this is when I knew that my family had like a lot of money. My grandparents did, because we stayed at the Ritz-Carlton in Atlanta.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was super expensive. And I remember waking up and they had, I guess they told the hotel people what we were doing, because they had fish bowls of chocolate fish and like candy rocks.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom being so pissed because my brother dropped the bowl and shattered one of the bowls at the fucking Ritz-Carlton hotel.
She's like, this is why we can't have nice things.
Literally, she was like, we took, because it was me, my brother, my sister, and then my 2 cousins, because I don't think my little cousin wasn't born yet. So there was 5 of us. We were all under 10, because if I was 10, that means my sister was like 8, and then my brother and my cousins were like 6. So we were like young kids, and it was just like my mom, I don't think my dad was there, and then like my grandparents, my aunt and uncle. But we went to the Atlanta Aquarium. I don't think I've been to the Atlanta Aquarium since then. I don't know if you've been, but it's like,
No, I want to go so bad, yeah.
it's actually like really cheap to go, and I had a really good time. But we went to that. I don't know what penguins are. No, penguins. And then we went to the Coca-Cola Museum, which I have been to since then. It's really cool. I don't know if I'd really go back a bunch now, because it's like once you go once, I mean,
It's like enough.
you just learn like the history and like there's like you can go taste all the different Coke brands around the world, which is okay after you do it like once. And then you take a Coke with like your birthday. Well, it was my birthday because we were there on my birthday, but it's like marked with the day that you go, and it's like one of the OG like glass bottles.
Oh, that's cool.
But that's like the only thing I can remember. I probably should remember another one, but that's the first one that came to mind. So I don't remember.
Alright, thank you. I mean, I wanted to know. But yeah, you can grab any candy. You can grab more than one too. We've been grabbing one, but please.
Are about the same, I mean, you're happy
They're
with?
thinner, but I got 2
Hey.
so I can double up.
Oh, you got
And,
Robert, what are you trying to say? Oh, all right, you're already ready. I don't even have to ask anymore.
I did it!
How's it going?
Good.
You can have a seat in the green chair.
Green chair.
Green chair. I think it's green.
Yes.
Not sure. Alrighty. So I was just wondering if you could tell me a story.
Uh-huh.
And I want you to take me back in time with you to one of your best or like most fondest, like feel good moments you have. It can be by yourself, with somebody else, whatever you want. I just want
Okay.
you to set that tone for me and set the scene, the people, that
Sure,
feeling.
sure.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I decided I wanted to be on a kickball, not a kickball team, a dodgeball.
Uh-huh.
And it was in the Smyrna Community Center, and there was about 6 or 7 people on the team, and they all knew each other, and they're all good athletes. And we were playing in a match against another team, and all of a sudden, everybody on the team got, in one flurry of activity, everybody got like tagged out or thrown out, except me.
Oh, God.
And so it was me against 3 of the opposite team who were seemingly badasses because they knocked
Just
out
took
my
it
entire
around,
team. So they blew the whistle go, and it was like an out-of-body experience. I somehow, like was able to avoid getting thrown out, and not only that, but I was able to like single-handedly take out the other team.
Oh my god.
Final 3 players. And it just happened in a blur, like,
Yeah.
it was like I was floating, watching it happen as it happened. It was sort of an out-of-body experience.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure your
And-
adrenaline was like, woo.
And it was suddenly, I'm back in my body and everybody's cheering. And I was sort of like, what just happened? What did I just do? It was like I was, you know, and the team was just all like hugging me and high-fiving me, and I was just like, I'm still not sure what happened.
Yeah. No, that sounds awesome. I love those moments where it's like, you're like, did I black out? I must have blacked out. Something happened.
It was terrifying, but
Yeah.
beautiful. It was one of those things, and I'd like to say I went on to, you know, continue playing for this team. I think I finished that season
Uh-huh.
and then played like one other season, but because of the dodgeball being on X Games, like each progressive season kept getting more and more competitive until it was like, I'm out of my league with the athletes that I'm playing
That's
with,
too much.
and it's like I gotta find something else.
Right.
And that's how I got into darts, playing in a
Wow, really?
competitive dart league, and
Huh.
I went from kickball, like organized elite kickball, to dodgeball, and
To darts.
and it was like I thought because I figured I'd get injured keeping on playing kickball, so I gotta find something else.
Right.
And I realized that dodgeball is not it. Dodgeball is not it.
One time in 5th grade PE, I was playing dodgeball, and there was a don't aim for the head rule, right? Like typical kind of rule.
Yeah.
And 2 kids, they're pissed off at each other on opposite. One was on my team, one was on the other side. They go at the same time, and this was like one of those, like, I don't even know how this happened. This had to be a fake moment. They chuck it, and they both smoked me in the head, and I passed out. I got a concussion. Like, everyone was like, are you okay? But I was like, what the crap? Like, this game is dangerous. And
Yeah.
since then, I was like, oh my god. So darts is definitely a better body solution.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's always the fear that you're gonna get a dart thrown at you,
Yeah.
or a dart's gonna bounce off the board and bounce back and stick in your body, but that's never happened. But,
Yeah.
but I got injured playing kickball. I like sliding into base, and I think as I was sliding, the ball hit me in the head like, hard, and I got up, because I was out, and then my team tried to argue, they threw it and hit him in the head. And they were like, well, he was trying to slide, so they didn't mean to hit him in the head when they threw it.
Right.
But I had this like road rash on my bruise on my leg that was really bad.
Yeah.
And it looked like I'd been in a motorcycle accident.
Wow.
And then with that, because I guess I was favoring the other leg, I ended up getting like a shin splint in the other leg, so I was just thoroughly hobbled.
Yeah.
And that was the impetus, I think, for me to look for other things to play.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with me.
Oh, yeah,
There's
you're
a lot of emotions that came up with that one.
Yeah, well, I'm glad.
But yeah, thank you for your time. And if you want to grab some chocolate, you can grab it. A very long
That was great. She was like, oh, what's tomorrow? Something exciting, something good.
The fair. The fair starts this weekend.
A very long.
Oh, look at that.
Does anybody want the extra?
Winner.
I saw you.
You're cutting the line for people.
Is the fair really this weekend?
I didn't know there were
I
options.
don't know, the fair.
It's sometime in October, I
The
think.
fair pageant is.
I haven't been here.
No verbal answer.
I could kind of.
I was like, I'm sorry.
I really kind of hear what we're doing anyways.
Oh yeah. Well, you can have a seat in the green chair. I cleaned it up a little bit,
Yeah,
It's
cool.
a little dirty today. So I just knocked my pen over. I just wanted to see if you would share a story with me.
A story?
Yeah, and I'll prompt you.
Okay.
So don't get crazy yet.
All right.
So I want to know if you'll take me back in time and really set the scene, details, people, emotions, from one of your best memories, like one of your just favorite memories. It can be with other people, it can be by yourself. I just want you to take me back in time with you.
Okay. There are so few to choose from. No, let's see. Okay, well, the first one that's coming to mind was when I went to Israel for the first time. And yeah, it was my first time traveling to another country, you know. And it means something important to Jews because of everything that Judaism is about. We got kicked out of our homeland, so going back to it is sort of always a big deal. But I was 17 and was with a bunch of other similarly aged people.
Yeah.
It was a program I went to called Nesia, and it was sort of a teen summer thing with both Americans and Israeli teens. So, just generally the whole experience was pretty awesome, but I'm thinking right now of when the first things we were doing was hiking through the Negev desert, which is the desert that occupies most of the country, especially the south. You know, like you got Israel that's like that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that.
It's that little chunk or big chunk, I guess.
The southern half of the country basically is the Negev desert. And so we were hiking around there. There were a lot of moments that are striking. One of them is when we were, and you know, have you ever been to like summer camp or anything like that?
Yeah, well, yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
My family is a summer camp.
Just when you're with a bunch of other teens and whatnot.
No, I've done a lot of stuff,
Yeah, so, yeah, we were hiking around at night, actually, on top of a mountain in the desert.
Nothing's gonna go wrong, right?
Nothing's gonna go wrong. No, and then at the top of the mountain, you know, this is like one of the first hikes that we did. And on the top of the mountain, there was a mammoth tusk just sticking out of the mountain.
What?
Yeah.
Like a legit?
Yeah, because the mammoth that used to be there was still there in the mountain, but the tusk was sticking out of the side of it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. There are a lot of moments like that, but there's, you know, getting to know people, you get a sense of community and whatnot, so they're like, at night, you know, you just talk to people and whatnot. There's a really strong communal sense. I don't know if there's any specific moment that illustrates that for me, but in general, it was a powerful experience, both because my life entirely has been where I am the only Jewish person around.
Yeah.
And just to go from that isolation to suddenly like, I'm home, you know?
Right.
Everybody, I'm a part of everybody, you know?
Yeah, it's like a euphoric feeling. At least, well, in my experience, it's
Yeah.
that kind of feeling. I don't really know what you felt, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never knew how much I felt alone until I didn't,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
in that way.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Thank you for giving me that little piece of time. You can go ahead and grab as much as you want. You can grab more than one piece. I don't care. Go crazy. Take a handful.
It's always like, I know what happens in me.
Exactly. You know what happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Why waste 2 hours of your life?
Because
I
it's
like
so
watching
special.
it unfold.
No, it's always the corporate woman comes back home to go back to movies.
Yes.
And then the hot guy works at the end.
Oh.
and
I was
then
saying how I love rom-coms.
Yeah, but sometimes
I'm like, you want to rom-com? No.
Is this my seat?
Yes. Okay, so I just want you to tell me a story. And I want you to really take me back in time, and I want you to set the scene. So any people that were involved, your emotions of one of your happiest, just most like best moments that you can think of. And it can be by yourself, with other people. I just want you to take me back to that period.
Well, if I think about best moments, I mean, I've had a lot of great moments.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of great moments. I think really, probably one of the hardest moments, but the best moments is like, I think about when my dad and I, like he demanded like structure, you know, he had these demands of structure and I definitely did not follow structure. And, but it's funny looking, like going back to those days, I cherish, you know, I can remember one specific moment. It was really the only time. So I was at school, not spending money wisely. It was grad school, not doing things wisely, not taking the things like I should have taken them, but having a great moment in grad school. And I came home and I was with my roommate Mike, and Mike and I had come home to pick up some supplies. We had to get some stuff before we had to go back. And Mike and I were still really close, you know, so, you know, all those connections. And then my dad's like, Jeff, can you come downstairs? And I'm like, oh, you know, that's the Jeff, can you come downstairs is like the
What
most
did I
unnerving. But, so I go down, I'm like, you know, what's going on, Dad? And he's like, I was looking at the credit card, and he was naming all the things that I bought. Well, it's like stuff that I need for my artwork, but it is a lot of money. I mean, I was spending just, you know, and so then he started, you know, and Mike and I, we were getting ready to go do something or go out with my friends or something. So I really wasn't paying attention to my dad. And he got really angry. Like angry, was yelling, and you know, Mike will tell you the story to this day. He actually remembers exactly what he was saying. I don't remember exactly what he was saying.
Blacked out.
Oh, I knew I was at the end, and then it was like this weird switch. Like, it was no longer, Jeff, you're doing things completely wrong. It was, you're getting the opportunities to do everything I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it switched. And then I'm like, then of course,
you're like, oh, okay.
It's no longer like me, it's no longer me doing things wrong for my dad. It's like me not doing things right for my dad. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, it switched. And I swear ever since that moment, it was the only time that there was this huge amount of silence. Right after he said that, I didn't know what to say, because that's incredibly powerful, and I didn't have anything to come back at him with, to be like, how dare you say I'm not doing things right when, you know, it's the things he wanted to do. It's what he wanted to do in life. And then I apologized and said I'd be better and I'll, you know, start paying attention to that stuff. And then he stood up and he said he loved me. And it was like the only time. Like in all, up to that point, you know, it was like the only time. And it was just that moment, like changed everything. Everything between him and I. And, you know, I think about that now, you know, just what he's going through and what I owe him and the life that I have. Because all of this, what I do with you guys, what I do in this space, is because this is like what he believed in.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that I really do believe that thank God I was parented by him. Because if I wasn't parented, I would never care as deeply for all of you, but also my children. I just would never have cared. And then ever since that day, it's like as I got older, he helped me on every project. He was the one that traveled with me. He's the one that went to pick up my art supplies, to buy supplies, to, everything from that day forward. And I was very aware of my money and conscious, and I still don't really spend money in a way that's probably healthy, and but it's never been wrong anymore, so that was a really amazing, I think that was probably the most meaningful moment in time in my life.
Thank you. Thanks for
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I feel the same way.
I didn't know I'd go there. I didn't even remember that story, I didn't even remember that even happened, so.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yep.
That's everything. You can grab, take whatever, take as many.
What is the sequence? I took 2, you get to take 3.
I got 3. Oh, I should have got 4.
Yeah.
I failed.
You'll do better.
Sorry, just one time.
Oh, you want Michael?
Oh, gosh. Well, you can have a seat in the green chair. The green chair? Yes, please. Okay. So, I just want to know if you'll tell me a story. I want you to take me back in time, like people, details of that event, if you can remember, of one of your best or like most cherished memories that you have. That's just like one of when you think of something and anybody asks you like your favorite memory with somebody or by yourself, whatever it is. If you could tell me a story.
So as you know, my brother passed, but when he was in the hospital and he was still able to get up and do things, and it was after he came off sedation, he was still in the ICU. It was one of his good days when he was being goofy and we were joking around, and they were shooting a television show on the balcony below his room because they're up on the higher level.
Okay.
And we were joking about them, and we didn't know if they could see us or not. We kept peeking out the windows at them, and my mom went to go get us dinner, and I was like, you should, I was joking about us, like trying to get their attention, and he's like, we were making jokes about pressed hams. That's when you put your butt up against the glass.
Yeah, I got you.
And we were laughing, and he's like, I'm wearing my gown. Like, I could totally do a pressed ham. And my mom had been really against it, so she left, and he got up, and he's like, kind of just like looking around the room. I thought he was just stretching, and I'm sitting there, and he comes over, and he's like, and just pressed hams it, and I'm dying laughing. And we're just losing it. My mom comes back, and we wouldn't tell her why we were laughing, and she's like, fine, just don't tell me. But then I was looking out there later, and I like waved, and the person's like, oh my God, I waved back. That's what I've seen the press hams. And so we were joking that some editor's gonna miss it, and there's gonna be a shot of like Chicago fire or whatever it was. He's gonna have little butt cheeks up there.
Every time I'm gonna be searching now, I'm like,
in the hospital windows behind the scene.
oh my God, that's so funny. Did you ever tell your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told it at his memorial, and everyone was laughing because, he had a funny sense of humor.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, it was one of like our last moments of him getting to be really goofy and not feeling like sick. So, a good one.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. That's all I want. Thank you for that little piece of your time. And then feel free to grab as much as you want. I already sure I got everybody. Little peanut, that's funny. I like it. Go.
What's wrong? There's nothing. Have you had?
What's right about
Have you had?
Yes, I was curious.
Oh, did you get scared?
Yeah.
I'm getting
It's because of Robert.
The seats were.
Through that branch.
Will you sit in the green chair for me? I know, Robert was like, green? I was like, that is green, right? You looked a little confused. I was like, oh gosh.
I looked at both and I was like, no, this is green.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, they're the same value. They're the same. I was like, oh gosh.
They're very similar colors.
Okay, will you, I want you to take me back in time.
Okay.
And so like details, emotions, all that good stuff, like a story basically, of one of your like best or happiest memories that you have. That can be with people or without people. Whatever you, when you like think of like one of your best memories, what do you think of?
Ooh, a recent one was in May. My sister got engaged.
Oh really?
Yeah, so she and her boyfriend were dating for 10 years. So we had been waiting.
10 years, I don't know if I can make it.
Yeah, I mean, we've known him, so I've known him since I was 14.
Okay.
And so I told him, don't tell me till 2 hours before because I can't keep a secret from her. He told me 3 weeks before because he came over to ask my mom for permission. And I was like, Kason, why didn't you tell me to leave? Like I would have known, but I wouldn't have known. So I had to keep it for 3 weeks and then I hid out on the beach to take photos for them.
Did you keep it a secret?
I did. She had no idea. So she had just started grad school and was really busy, and it was the last day of school because she is a caregiver for preschool.
Oh, okay.
And so she was stressed. She was like, we were supposed to go to dinner, and so she was like, we're gonna be late for dinner. The reservations are at 7. The reservations were at 8. And she was like, and you want to go to the beach to take a photo because there's this ship that's shipwrecked off the coast where I live. It's been there for like 2 years now.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's a cargo ship, so they have to get out all of the cars and machinery that was in there. It's like the worst maritime disaster.
Never mind.
It's not great, but it's hilarious because it's still there.
Yeah.
And so his aunt lied and said, well, my friend really wants to paint it, so y'all have to go take a photo. And so they walked out. I was hiding in like a big old hat and a blanket. She walked right past me, was paying no mind. She got distracted by a dog.
Oh my gosh.
No idea. Got proposed to. Was very confused. And then Kason was like, "Do you notice anyone?" And she was like, "What?" And he pointed. He's like, "Lady in the hat over there." Exactly. And we went to dinner. It was very lovely. So that's a recent one. That was
That's
pretty
awesome.
great. Yeah.
Was she? So she was just super surprised.
She
and, like-
was. I mean, also like, so this happened on like a Wednesday or Thursday. On a Sunday, she was like, I just found out from her we're gonna get engaged. Like, was kind of sad about it. I was like, I'm so sorry.
You're like, I don't know either. I don't think so.
Yeah, she was like, I was like, I'm sorry. I like gaslit you for 3 weeks. She was like, I mean, I appreciate it, but I had no idea. I was like, great. That's what
You're
I was
like, I guess I did one for you, but.
Yeah, it was, and it's like in a moment of like, okay, how, like, what would I react to if I didn't know she was getting engaged in 3 days?
Right.
And not over top of like, it'll be fine. Because then she would be like, what the fuck do you know?
Yeah.
That's a fond memory of
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Alright. Well, that's all I wanted. Thank you for a little bit of time. Feel free to grab some. You can grab as much as you want.
Just take
Did he say make home? I swear he said make.
It says in the Urban Dictionary that redneck and mama.
Why are you
Boiled
saying the Urban
peanuts,
Dictionary?
boiled peanuts, a southern delicacy served at roadside stands and gas stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
All right, see, I didn't make it up.
Arguing about boiled peanuts.
seen it?
Yeah, oh yeah, somewhere it's like, they don't all have,
It's like
they have
Fayetteville or,
There's probably.
I think it is
or
Fayetteville.
Peachtree City.
It's somewhere up there.
Like Fayetteville or Peachtree. That's the original Chick-fil-A that you want.
It's like one of the original.
Like in Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna go see
Yes.
it.
Chick-fil-A's from here.
Same thing as.
Yeah, no, that's from here, literally Georgia.
No,
Garbage.
It's
What?
one of the best
Zaxby's.
chicken.
yeah, but not the original Zaxby's, it was amazing.
People get in arguments online.
It was
there?
amazing, they made everything, it was a little trailer.
And it gets.
Oh, really?
It gets like very
Here? On
angry.
Yes,
People
it
get
was
really
in the
mad at
parking
chicken.
lot of where,
The chicken sandwich.
across from famous Mickey.
You can go on my
People
city.
have their opinions.
I don't know what all was on there, like that bars, I think building and like bars and stuff. That was
Most people get really mad about chicken.
And that was a bar, but it was right in the middle of that parking lot, right at the front.
The bar was named Chicken.
And
Well,
I think what
yeah.
prompted me to lie about the name
It
was,
was a,
I couldn't
yeah.
Where
explain
does Zaxby's
why it
come
was
from?
the Dwarf House before it was Chick-fil-A.
The word.
Such a made up
exact,
story.
it was called
When
that.
I convinced
Fine name,
the
right?
people
Yeah,
that
exactly.
the
It was called that.
grapefruits were just, were.
It was, they made everything from scratch, like their ranch, everything, it was so good.
Yeah.
Do they still make their ranch
A
from
lot of
scratch?
ranch.
No.
Oh, it's okay.
Right, right.
I've never eaten there.
You never had Zaxby's?
No.
Your
You
entire.
need to have them.
Yeah, he had to pretend like it's
Just
healthy.
They got a birthday cake.
Not gonna make me, Ashley.
Oh my God. Yeah, they'll say, Jason will say, oh, we can get a salad.
That's
Bro,
what Alex
salads
says.
are
Alex says
garbage.
that all the time. I'm like, Alex, do you know how many calories are in this?
With a whole bunch of fried chicken
Probably
on
more.
it, you don't get to call it a salad.
It's a salad with a Z.
Yeah. It is, that's what they
It
do.
is.
They're all Z, isn't
Yeah,
everything
it's
they
all
have?
Z.
Yeah.
How much
Yeah.
of a narcissist do you have to be to?
Oh, that's okay.
I want to meet Zax. I just ask him if he's actually a narcissist. Then probably never get served with Zaxby's.
Here's your picture, it goes up in each one.
Recently, both Zaxby's here have been kind of like on the low recently.
The Zaxby's that's on
The one on campus, the one
on
closest to campus is good.
but the other one is always
Awful. I think they're on a labor shortage.
Oh, okay.
Ever since I moved.
There's a
here,
lot.
Yeah. It's kind of sad.
It's crazy in this town, like Skyline was saying, she's able to get jobs everywhere because they need workers.
Yep.
And she thought for sure when college started up, that she wouldn't be able to get a job.
They always need workers here,
Yeah.
always.
Every business has a sign.
Isn't that
Hiring.
weird? You'd think with
Well,
as
now-
many students.
Well, I think a lot of the students are getting like COVID relief,
There's no like.
so they don't really feel like needing to work now. They get that HERF grant and they're like, I don't really know.
What is it?
The HERF grant is what we all got, the
Yeah.
COVID relief grant.
That's, yeah, that's what I was saying.
Huh?
about that.
Yeah, it was like $1,500.
Yeah.
We got it last
It was
semester
great.
and this semester.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's great. HERF grant,
Mine were stuff.
HERF grant.
Yeah, you get anywhere from like 1,000 to 1,500 is like depending on.
That's where I
I
got.
got like 950.
Oh, just kidding. You get anywhere from
Well,
like.
I got a good. That's why I drank so much when we went to Delson. You
Yeah,
remember?
it's fun for a long time.
It's because I'm like, I got all this extra stimulus thing.
And that just, is that school gives it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have to
Well,
pay it back.
I had to get it, I applied for financial aid.
It's through fast, but
And
technically.
like, they said, we're trying to send you money, give us this, you need to click this button so we can direct deposit in your account. And sure enough, I did what they said to do, and all of a sudden there's money in my account that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
it's not a loan, so you don't have to pay it back yet. Which is
How do you
nice.
find out if you get it?
You should have gotten an email.
If you,
This was like
last
the last
time.
You apply for financial aid,
It was like
you'll
the
get it through the school.
first-
You have financial aid.
Yeah, I got a couple of scholarships too. And then I got the award letters and everything and a link to where I could go, send a thank you and all. And then a few months later, I get this email saying I won another scholarship that I didn't even think I applied for.
Did you know if you did or not?
But I looked at it and I'm like, well, I fit all those,
Yeah.
criteria. It's like, wow, that's a
But you
really
didn't
nice,
question, did you? You just,
that's a nice surprise.
Thank you.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
I am gonna question it,
Oh.
but I haven't yet.
I wouldn't.
I just haven't had a chance.
Yeah, just keep know that it's a good thought that you were gonna question.
How much is this one you're talking
Like
about?
1,500 is what I got.
Okay, well, this one's 2,500, so it's not that one.
Whoa,
No,
Jack?
What's on there?
Everybody's like, I can drink a lot.
No occasional liquor in you. Everybody crashing my life.
It's gone. Like,
Well, there's one that I got that I don't fit all the criteria for, but they.
The Betty Boy, like during those awards or from something else?
I think it was through the art department, but I don't fit all the criteria of it.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know, they awarded it to me. So
16.
Today is Bahamas Independence Day. Thanks for.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is it 50?
There's a lot.
When was that, like
Voting day.
1800
I'm
something?
sorry, did I say independence? It's voting day.
Oh.
Wow, right?
Much different, much different.
It's voting day, much different. I'm nervous about it.
Are you able to vote absentee?
I tried, but I would have had to go to Atlanta this week, and because of all of this, I think it's really frustrating.
Well, tomorrow's gonna be bright and early, 8 o'clock, over in
Yeah,
Ceramics and
it's gonna
Sculpture.
look like crap, because I'm staying up to watch the election results, so.
Yeah,
Where are we gonna
We're
start?
not critiquing you.
ceramic sculpture.
Okay.
We're gonna do Amy's first, cause she's probably gonna have to take it down because of the fire hazard.
Oh,
She's trying to.
But she's not starting something on fire, that's a shock.
Yeah.
No. It's a fire problem. Maybe I can be part of it.
are you gonna set that closet on fire?
Yeah.
Are you lighting something in there?
Oh, my gosh, she's like, yeah.
Not bad.
Oh, okay.
So Jalen, when is your 30 hour?
Tomorrow with you.
What time?
Oh, I don't know who's going first.
Yeah, I didn't know what's on the schedule, 3:30 is
There-
one and 4 is the other.
Oh, Elsie just said 3:30 Jackie and Jalen, so I don't know if there is.
Let's go first.
Rock, paper,
I think
scissors.
I'll show rock, paper, scissors, no. Oh,
Oh, I'll go first. I don't care.
Where is yours gonna be?
It's up in 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the classroom.
How are you?
That's right.
Through a PowerPoint slash video course. Will this one be presented or will we critique it after?
This one's not gonna be presented. No, but we can critique it right now. What did you guys think? Great. Great. What do I get from great?
I don't know, I'm trying to think, give me a second.
No, you're good. No, yeah, no rush, but we can talk about it right now. But no, this one's not gonna be included in it. Just the classroom.
The thing that because last time I was an observer and I wasn't a participant, and to hear, remember when you guys kind of reflected on being participants and that anxiety that you had with I didn't necessarily sense, I did like knowing where I was sitting and watching it, so but I didn't know what was happening there. No one was coming back and sharing. Not one person told me what had happened. So- Yeah, candy, and so I find that, that dynamic of, we kind of go through this experience that we walk in there, we do something, we come back here, and then we're right back into kind of a conversation that's happening with all of us. And it wasn't,
It's easy to slide back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you didn't share like, hey, I gotta tell everybody
And
something.
nobody asked.
Nobody asked.
Nobody.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, when I got out, I'm like, I had like little tears, but y'all couldn't see it.
Yeah.
And then I thought,
I've noticed that you came out like sort of shaken or moved in some way.
Me too.
I couldn't quite tell. I could tell it was like a,
but I was like, oh, well, I wanted to say something, but I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to say anything. That maybe that's part of the, the activity.
Did you ask everyone the same question?
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
So why didn't we ask each other? Like, why didn't we feel, do you think that, do we think that's a private thing?
Because we're so far away.
I think it's also like a super like personal question, I guess.
It would
Yeah,
change the.
I don't want anyone asking me what mine was. I mean,
It would
it's.
change
Well,
the dynamic.
no, but
We
once
do
you
ahead of
knew,
time.
you wouldn't ask. But me, why wouldn't I didn't know.
Oh, well, it's because you're already like in this mode of like conversation, and we're already on a roll talking about like what like boiled peanuts, romance, and and like you don't want to be like stop everything and be like, so what happened?
Focus on-
Yeah.
That's a good point.
You don't want to stop everything and be like tell me what she asked you.
Well, plus, no, I mean, for me, you're also maintaining the integrity of what she's doing. Like, there's part of me that's like, if she wanted us all to do it together, she'd be doing it with all of us together. But instead, it's supposed to be a personal experience. But then for me in there, I realized that how lucky I am, because I had to choose.
Me
There wasn't
too.
just one.
Yeah.
I went
There
somewhere
was
where I
so
didn't know I
many-
was gonna go. It was
so
a
many good
memory I didn't
memories.
remember.
Then for a moment, I was like, oh, I used to share. And she's like, do you want to think about it? I was like, oh, no, I'll think more. And I'll never be, like my brain was like, notes.
I think I was the opposite. I couldn't think of anything. And I just picked like the most like prevalent memory in my childhood because I don't remember anything from my childhood at all. So I was like, let me just think about this really good last good memory.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I couldn't think of anything with past, I could only think of something.
Exactly. And surely I've been happy at some other point.
Like,
I can't think of it right now.
So whose was the best?
There's no best. It was funny
She came
though.
out tearful after
It
that.
was, no. It was pretty split though. It was funny to listen to you guys say, oh my god, I have so many, hold on. And then, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't think I have one. And everybody had the same, like the way you guys said it was all the same. The people who had to think about it were like, hold on, I need to think about it. And the ones who were like, oh, I don't know. And you guys were like, kind of awkward. But it was really funny because it was pretty split. And like the way that you guys answered was pretty like, that. But it was really interesting what you guys chose to share with me.
Do you think of it as a different environment? Like if we were out somewhere and all of a sudden we were thinking people were going to talk privately, I'd be like, what's she talking to them about? Like, what are you talking about? You know? Like here, I knew you were doing something, so when someone would leave, I'm like, okay, this is part of
That's
the thing.
interesting.
But if we were just out and about,
You would, wouldn't you? You'd be like, what is going
Oh,
on?
I would totally ask about it.
You know,
If it was like
I would be more curious.
Why did I
I think I've done that
first?
before. People want it.
That's my brain.
Yeah, because you feel like you were left, like, we're all together at some restaurant, and then you see that awkwardness going on, you would start to go like,
Yeah.
When people have side conversations, sometimes people are like, what are you guys talking
yeah,
about?
right away.
It happens because you want to be part of the group, part of the fun. So, whatever it is, even if it does seem awkward.
But maybe it was the smell of vanilla and the candy that really, like for me, that really was like, it made me think of like my grandparents' house. So I was
And
like,
then, yeah, also the candy, it make the environment like jollier, like forget about everything, like
Yeah.
enjoy that moment, just playing everything, like casual stuff.
Yeah,
The
it's like
candy also works.
Isn't it interesting the difference between the group and the private and the group, right? Both I enjoy very much. Like I enjoy group conversation, I enjoy the energy, but I also enjoy conversation. I enjoy that kind of intimate space where you're getting to share, something that's meaningful. So it is interesting you come out here and, I think maybe things could get real here, right? I mean, as we're talking, something could strike a chord where we're all connected and it gets like really intimate and real, kind of like it is in that space. But not many times does a group get to that level. Not many times, right? Am I wrong about that?
I think it's smaller group.
Yeah,
Smaller group?
Or like if you know each other like longer, in like the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of life, we haven't known each other that long. If it was like all of your best friends or like your parents or something like that, then you'd be a little bit different than just like your colleagues.
Yeah.
Like to share like anything,
Because we're also not even talking about like what we share at all still. We talked about the fact that we're not sharing about
Right.
it, and then we didn't share. We all still kept it very private.
Yeah. That's why it's like, so the dynamic is pretty interesting overall. space has a lot to do with it. We talked about that with work and galleries and, you know, those kind of school spaces. But how often do we really get a chance to just do this where we're not talking about art, we're not critiquing something, where we're just kind of, I mean, how often are we encouraged to do this? Not very. We're encouraging, you gotta do this, and you're following all these kind of like grid, get it done, get it done, get it done. But this gave us a chance to just chill. Like just be at kind of rest for a second. That, I mean, you know, we got a lot of crap going on, you know, there's a lot of stuff happening come tomorrow. This was a really strange,
It was
like,
great though, like the laughing, like just to laugh together.
Yeah, it is a nice break. I had a friend of mine call me, at 5:30, yesterday, and I was working, and I told her, I said, thank you so much for calling me. She wanted to go out to dinner, and she asked me if I wanted to go. I said, yes, thank you so much, because I would have been here like till 9 o'clock at night. It just worked straight through, but it was just so nice to get that break. It's so nice to get this break, talking to everyone, because I know that when y'all leave, I'm gonna put my artwork up and then stress about that.
yeah, that's, I mean, I don't think we get enough of this. It sure speaks to me. This is what I desire. This is why we do what we do. This is, you know, how many of you felt like, did any of you feel like you needed to go work on your keys?
Bye-bye, guys.
Did you? Yeah?
Absolutely.
And was it annoying to you?
No.
No?
What were you asking?
If there
Just
wasn't,
like underlying panic.
if there wasn't so much that conversation, if we were all just
Anxiety,
sitting
it's like
here like silent like this, I'd probably be like, okay, I'm like ready to.
I was asking how many of them
Meaningful conversation though.
wanted to go,
Oh,
like work
yeah.
on their other work. And I think Haley's point is right. There's
Yeah.
the energy is.
If it was like a different energy, I'd be like, okay, she asked me the question, I answered the question, I could go now. But like, think about it in terms of like, if this wasn't for Jalen's thing, we wouldn't come here willingly right now. Like,
Right. Everybody said, hey, let's just meet and talk for 20 minutes. Everybody be like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, be like, I have stuff to do.
But she didn't specify whether we needed to come back and sit down in our chairs.
No.
That's true.
But we did.
Or just stay longer.
There was nothing telling us to stay here.
Right.
Even now.
And
There's
yet,
nothing telling us to stay here.
it doesn't feel like when we purposely procrastinate out here and we all gather, like, it felt like we were here purposefully to do it, so it gave me an out to be here, like it was, we were meant to do this, not like
Take
I'm
a break from work.
wasting my time or like doing it on purpose to avoid something.
So you wonder, how do you create those kind of environments? How do you create that kind of space?
I think it's really hard here because we're across campus. Like, you know, the fact that you guys have studios that are closer together, I don't know if that makes it easier or harder for you guys. But I know that, you know, being so far away from all of this, sometimes it's, you know, even when I was doing the grad program before, like and we had a lot more people in that studio, but still there's like this separation between 3D and 2D because everybody's here and everybody's.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny too because we even feel, at least I feel here separated from like Haley and Steven and like everybody over there. So that's also weird because me and Haley always complain. We're like, oh, you're so far. They're right there. You guys are really far, but
It
I
doesn't
always
seem
think
that far to me, because I go back and forth between
yeah,
this
it's just like
building
that
and ceramics.
that wall.
So it doesn't seem,
separation.
Do you drive? Do you walk?
but, you know, a little bit of both.
Okay.
Like today, it was raining, I didn't want to get wet, so I drove, but if it's nice weather, I don't mind walking.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine how it used to be when everybody was employed. Yeah, like everybody was employed.
Right.
Everybody, music,
Yeah.
art, and they were all about floor. The kilns were down on the bottom and up on the roof. Like it was, because I was in the music department then, but I wasn't in art. But I mean, so much smaller. Like,
But I'm even asking, how do you create the environment? Like, how do you create these moments with groups that isn't, because you said, well, there was a purpose.
And not feeling guilty about it.
Yeah, not feeling guilty.
Like sometimes on the weekend, when I should be here and I'm like slower than I want to be getting out of the house, I feel guilty that
Yep.
I'm still there. And I need to be here doing something. this, I don't feel guilty being here, even though there's things I need to do because I was helping her with her project. I was being part of
It's
a
a dual
performance.
purpose, the dual purpose.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, right?
That you have something you're here for,
Yep.
a purpose, but that purpose is not so difficult, that being here becomes cumbersome.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not added
That's
stress.
a really hard thing to do in life, to create those environments.
Jalen did well with her question though, because the question provided us with sort of a positive
Hmm. It did.
vibe almost, so everybody returning came with emotion for sure.
Yeah.
But more positive emotion, so it's even more further to want to stay in that positive.
Well, and I needed everybody when I got done. Like I needed the group.
I guess my story was not that
Y'all out here crying? I just
Yeah,
I think, well, mine was just really bittersweet because mine was just like, before, it was like pre-recession when I celebrated my birthday in Atlanta with my family, before my parents got divorced and before my grandparents got divorced. And, you know, I was really thinking about what you're saying with the vanilla, and I was like, that's so silly. But then I was like, wait, in the story, at the beginning of the story, I had to deal with chocolate, and there was chocolate on the table, and I was like, damn it, I did the exact same thing.
Haley got really excited about the chocolate actually.
I did, there was fish, cause okay,
It was just, that was like a.
because we stayed at the Ritz-Carlton, and that's how you know that like my family had money back then, and they do not now at all. Because my family's business went out of business with the recession, and it was my 8th birthday, I think, 8th or 9th birthday. I would have asked my mom, and we were going to the Atlanta Aquarium, and the hotel knew that for some reason because my grandparents were really high up in the floral business, and they had a lot of money, and so the hotel had us like fish bowls of chocolate fish and like the chocolate rocks and like all that kind of stuff. And I remember like having one and it was so pretty and it was great. And then my little brother broke one of them and that's a nice memory. But then also like walking back, I was like, that's really bittersweet because I don't talk to my grandfather anymore. And like I don't see my cousins as much. And my brother lives in Indiana now. It was so. And I'm also just a negative person. So like that was, I'm sure the rest of them were like, yeah, happy memories. And I'm like, that was happy.
It's interesting to see the way that people share and process like what they are sharing in that moment, like in different levels. And I think that's what that is. I don't think it's like a matter of deep with the memories. I think it's just a matter of how
How you
visually,
process them.
because I know I'm a very empathetic person. So like, if Jeff's crying, I'm crying. If Jackie's tearing up, I'm tearing up. Like, if Jess is laughing, I'm laughing. Like, because I just feed off of that. So it was really interesting because I think everybody's stories were equally valuable. I think to your own needs, your own memories. Like, I'm connected because you're telling me that it's not my memory. And then there's a lot of stories where I wanted to be like, yeah, my family. And some people I did. I said, Jackie, that reminded me of my sisters. Like, I thought about this, and there were some people where I didn't hold back, and there are others where I was like, this isn't about me, and I think it was the people who became more, like, emotional, or who were more cut off, because I was like, that's what you need me to be a filler. So I thought that was interesting, too.
Yeah, that's another hard thing too, is not have that space where you're wanting it to come back to you, to learn, to keep it on the, you know, to acknowledge when it needs to be, not you know? That's a hard thing. Because we always are thinking about ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually a good thing, you know, there is health in that. But sometimes it just can be overwhelming to constantly be thinking about yourself, because then you don't soak up the moment, you know. Yeah, it's such an interesting dynamic. That's something I'd love to, like that hallway upstairs with the chalkboard and the tables. That was intentionally put there. When I started here, the hallways were empty and it felt like a hospital. And I thought, why does it feel like a hospital? This is a freaking art school. I mean, why are people not screaming in the halls and, you know, confetti and, you know, what I mean, glitter all over? I didn't understand it. It felt so cold. And so I started thinking about spaces and how do we create these spaces for everybody to belong, but not academic spaces, not let's talk about shit all the time, but let's just learn about each other all the time. And once we put those tables in, it was so fun watching the students kind of start to gather, and then they would eat. You know, then we got the vending machines over here, which is even better. Now they can, you know, have the sodas. But then the teachers will be walking to their offices. So the professor will walk to the office, and then you run into somebody, and then there's just normal conversation. The other day I was drawing on, you know, Matt's challenges, and then 3 students came out of Steven's class, and then he told them to draw, and then it's like, it was really kind of cool, right? That was a really cool moment, because it wasn't, I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm the chair of the department, and they were all like, what? Like, yes, you know? But it's cool, because it's just a space that we all exist in, right? It's that kind of, and creating those things are not easy. It's not easy.
Not to this, I mean, do we hunger for it because we haven't had it for like 2 years?
Oh, that's,
We don't sit and chat with people like this.
that's a
Like,
good
we
point.
talk in class, but it has to do with what the class is about. I mean, gathering, where you're not gathering when you're in a bar, when it's loud and you can't really talk, or you sort of talk to the person next to you, but we're in a quiet space, everybody's hanging out, we're having a conversation, and really fun conversation. Like, I'm a social person, and I have missed being able to sort of, poor Jess, I'm just like,
Yeah.
her all the time. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can be quiet.
So she cannot be quiet.
Because I can't talk.
You know what she told me? She's like, oh, I only talk when I have to. She's a punter. That's a little
Our
hard.
father's supposed to be quiet.
She's like, I don't talk when I'm on the wheel. Like, I concentrate, you know? Yeah, you concentrate.
I can put my hand on
I know, this is what she said.
All right, let's have it on. Let's talk about it.
That's a problem.
I love her. No, you don't understand.
Alright, thanks everybody. That's all the time we have today. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Give yourself a round of applause for your time.
Oh, man.
Therapy time. What's therapy circle? Talk about feelings.
It doesn't want to. I'm not joking.
You get a broken chest.
Don't be afraid.
Well, that's okay.
So do I.
These aren't supposed to
Now you
be
get to
that.
set up, huh, Jackie?
Yes, I do. I don't know how that works.
They did go, they just
There you
really
go.
don't go.
I think it might be the
They're locked together a certain way.
Well, it's fine.
I think that's sad.
No wheels, so.
In a way.
What do you do right now?
Oh, so
They're maybe
really?
stacked.
I didn't find your boards, but.
I got nothing. These are.
You wanna put those on here?